Imagine a world where the terrifying xenomorphs, known for their relentless killing instincts, can actually communicate. This intriguing twist is one of the most debated elements of FX and Hulu's new series Alien Earth. For the first time in cinematic history, these iconic creatures are not just silent predators, they are engaging in dialogue. At the heart of this narrative is Wendy, portrayed by Chandler, a synthetic being with human-like consciousness who has been able to hear the xenomorphs since the very beginning of the show. Once the scientists at Prodigy Corporation discovered her unique ability, they became curious about whether she could also converse with these alien beings, and indeed, she can. Wendy is not merely listening to the xenomorphs, she is actively engaging in conversations with them. This development raises profound questions about the nature of these legendary monsters. Are they merely mindless killing machines, or do they possess independent thought and intelligence? If Wendy can communicate with them, does that imply the existence of a complex alien language? Could we soon be seeing xenomorph language courses on platforms like Duolingo? Well, not quite. When IGN reached out to FX for clarification, they confirmed that there was no linguist specializing in xenomorph language on set, nor is there one credited in the series. However, this doesn't mean that Chandler invented a new language on her own, nor is she simply mimicking the clicking and trilling sounds you hear when she interacts with the xenomorphs. The creation of the xenomorph language in Alien Earth was a collaborative effort involving multiple creative minds. The art of crafting an alien language. Before diving into the specifics of how the xenomorph language was developed, it's essential to understand the complexities involved in creating an alien language for the screen. Insights from both Sidney Chandler and Lee Gilmore, the supervising sound editor and sound designer for Alien Earth, shed light on this intricate process. Paul R. Frommer, a professor emeritus of business communication at USC, and the mastermind behind the Na'vi language in James Cameron's Avatar, provides a valuable perspective on the subject. Frommer likens linguistics to mathematics, emphasizing that before he was hired for the Avatar project, he was already teaching his students about grammatical structures using Klingon. The first step in creating a language is to determine how the beings you are designing it for communicate. For the Na'vi, Cameron specified that their vocal production was somewhat similar to humans, and he wanted to avoid any electronic manipulation of their speech. This approach contrasts sharply with how Alien Earth has chosen to portray the xenomorphs. Frommer elaborated on the process, explaining that the next step involves identifying the basic sounds that will form the foundation of the language. For instance, English comprises approximately 40 to 45 distinct sounds, which include both consonants and vowels. It's important to note that these sounds are not the same as the letters of the alphabet. They are the actual phonetic sounds. Once the sounds are established, the next challenge is to determine how they can be combined to form words or other linguistic elements. Frommer provided an example. The word water is a single concept, while singer consists of two components, the action of singing and the suffix that indicates a person who performs that action. He noted that proficient English speakers typically have a vocabulary of around 40,000 words, while the English language itself contains nearly 500,000 words. In creating the Na'vi language, Frommer started with a smaller vocabulary, ensuring he could translate all the necessary words in the script. Since then, he has become the go-to expert for fans eager to expand their Na'vi vocabulary, especially with the upcoming Avatar sequels. When it comes to the xenomorphs, who have a more insect-like nature, the challenge becomes even more complex. Frommer pointed out that as long as there are enough distinct sounds, it's feasible for the structure of their language to resemble that of human languages. Yet, the real question remains, what exactly are the xenomorphs trying to communicate? Frommer's background in animal linguistics revealed that while various animals, from birds to whales, can communicate, their vocabulary is significantly simpler than human language. For example, a bird might convey its identity or assert its territory, but it cannot create new messages beyond that. Insects, on the other hand, likely have even more limited communication abilities. Frommer expressed hope that if the creators of Alien Earth were to pursue a genuine language for the Xenomorphs, they would engage a linguist to explore the various sounds and their combinations, much like how humans can rearrange words to form new sentences. Bringing the Xenomorphs to life, as Gilmore explained to IGN, the process of creating the Xenomorph language involved three distinct components: the sounds that Wendy hears when she first starts communicating with the Xenomorphs, her responses to them, and the vocalizations of the Xenomorphs themselves. Each of these elements needed to sound unique, while still maintaining a cohesive connection to the same creature. One of the initial discussions between Gilmore and showrunner Noah Hawley revolved around what they termed Wendy echoes, which represent the Xenomorph's voice in her mind. They were inspired by the concept of ASMR, aiming for a sound that would both intrigue and unsettle the audience. They also considered the idea that the Xenomorphs might communicate through echolocation, given their lack of eyes. This concept has been touched upon in previous alien lore, such as the Weyland-Yutani archives, which speculated on the Xenomorphs' communication methods. In the 1989 comic series Aliens Nightmare Asylum and Aliens Earth War, writer Mark Verheiden suggested that the aliens might communicate through dreams or nightmares. However, for Alien Earth, the production team wanted to start fresh. The script simply stated, Wendy opens her mouth and speaks to aliens, which posed a daunting challenge for Chandler. She recalled the pressure of interpreting that direction in a way that felt authentic and believable. This clean slate approach also applied to Gilmore, who had previously worked on sound design for Alien Romulus. He emphasized that Noah wanted to create a unique auditory experience while still paying homage to the iconic sounds from the original 1979 film. Gilmore was determined not to recycle any sounds from Romulus, as that would have felt disingenuous. Chandler began her creative process even before arriving on set, drawing inspiration from the sounds of insects in her Texas environment. She recorded cicadas and crickets, noting their eerie and beautiful fluctuations. This natural melody resonated with her as she developed her own interpretation of the alien language. She found that the insect-like chirping and trilling helped her connect with the essence of the Xenomorphs. Gilmore echoed this sentiment, stating that they focused on creating chittering, insect-like sounds. He had previously experimented with the idea of incorporating insect elements into the Xenomorphs' vocalizations, inspired by the hive mentality established in Aliens. They manipulated recordings of crickets and frogs to achieve the desired auditory effect. As both Chandler and Gilmore explored the insect sounds, they faced the challenge of translating those auditory concepts into physical expressions on screen. Chandler experimented with throat constriction, rolling her R's, and varying her breathing patterns to create a range of sounds that would convey life and authenticity in her interactions with the Xenomorphs. While the sounds she produced during filming did not make it into the final cut, they played a crucial role in helping her connect with the alien creatures. The nuances of clicking, trilling, and breathwork informed her performance, even if the final product sounded different. The emotional spectrum of Xenomorph sounds. The history of Xenomorph sounds dates back to the original 1979 film, and familiar sounds were played on set to help the cast understand what to expect. However, Gilmore aimed to take a different approach, focusing on the principle of less is more when it comes to sound design. He believed that allowing the audience to fill in the gaps with their imagination often enhances the horror experience. As the production progressed to the ADR stage, Chandler continued to refine her sounds, incorporating more breathwork and varied vocalizations to enhance the authenticity of her communication with the Xenomorphs. She wanted to ensure that her performance conveyed genuine interaction, rather than simply producing sound effects. Ultimately, the final product you see in Alien Earth emerged from a collaborative effort. Chandler noted that the sounds she created influenced the cadence and rhythm of the Xenomorph language, adding a layer of believability to the interactions. Gilmore agreed, stating that the addition of breath elements transformed the Xenomorph sounds from mere sound effects into something more lifelike. The team worked diligently to transition from the initial Wendy echoes to the Xenomorph language, which became clearer as Wendy honed her communication skills. They avoided using source recordings from previous films, opting instead for fresh, innovative sounds that conveyed the emotional depth of the Xenomorphs. They aimed to create a language that expressed not just words, but also emotions, allowing the Xenomorphs to convey feelings of sadness, confusion, or anger. Moreover, Alien Earth introduces Xenomorphs at various developmental stages, raising questions about whether their vocalizations change as they grow. Gilmore confirmed that they aimed to create distinct sounds for baby Xenomorphs, balancing cuteness with the underlying menace of their nature. As the creatures mature, their vocalizations evolve, reflecting their growth and aggression. In conclusion, the creation of the Xenomorph language in Alien Earth was a multifaceted endeavor that involved collaboration among various creative talents. The result is a unique auditory experience that not only enhances the storytelling, but also deepens the connection between Wendy and the Xenomorphs. As viewers, we are left to ponder the implications of this communication. What does it mean for the relationship between humans and these formidable creatures? Will they find common ground, or will their inherent natures lead to conflict? The possibilities are as thrilling as they are terrifying.